Hey everybody, I'm not going to give you your money. Well, at least not yet. Okay, question comes up. Is there ever a reason where a bank or a credit union can delay funds availability in the FedNow service? And the answer is why, yes, there actually is. Well, when is that? In one of our previous classes on Regulation J, Subpart C, and how it applies to FedNow instant payments, we discussed immediate funds availability and the time frame, that undefined time frame that is, for immediate funds availability. And we also said there are times when a receiving institution doesn't have to make funds available immediately, or where they can delay funds availability. That's right, we did that. Oh, you probably want to know when can you do that? We're going to have to look at some of the Fed commentary in Regulation J to truly answer this one. But the simple answer is what we call except without posting, and it's generally used for legal issues. But let's go ahead and look at Regulation J and see what it says. You see, Regulation J's final rule states in section 210.44b3, if you want to go look it up, I'm going to read it to you. I'll probably put it on the screen too. In circumstances where the beneficiary bank, other than a Federal Reserve Bank, has reasonable cause to believe that the beneficiary is not entitled or permitted to receive payment, the beneficiary's bank may notify its Federal Reserve Bank that it requires additional time to determine whether to accept the payment order. Whew, that stuff is always a mouthful, right? What's this mean? It means in the event that a beneficiary bank, a receiving bank, gives a notice to the Federal Reserve Bank, the Fed, for the purposes that support the subpart C of Reg J and Article 4A UCC we've also talked about, that the beneficiary's bank doesn't have to accept the payment order upon its receipt of payment in the amount of the payment order by the Federal Reserve Bank. Still some really technical jargon there. So what it really comes down to is if there's a reasonable cause for a financial institution to believe that their account holder should not receive the funds, then the financial institution can actually delay funds availability to give them time to determine, to research, to investigate, and figure out what needs to be done. Well, what's reasonable cause then? Back to Regulation J. According to the commentary, it says, for example, if the beneficiary's bank has reasonable cause, there it is again, that term reasonable cause, to believe that making funds available to the beneficiary may violate applicable U.S. sanctions, the beneficiary's bank may notify the Federal Reserve Bank that it requires additional time to determine to accept the payment order, which includes to investigate if the beneficiary is subject to applicable sanctions. As an additional example, they said that if the beneficiary's bank has reasonable cause to believe that a particular payment order may be related to fraudulent activity, the beneficiary's bank may notify the Federal Reserve Bank that it does require, again, additional time to determine what we're going to do, or if they're going to accept the payment order, or if they need to investigate the suspected fraudulent activity. So what is actually happening here? What is happening here, to simplify it, is simply called what it's really called. It's called accept without posting. Accept without posting. The receiving financial institution, bank, or the credit union has accepted the FedNow instant payment because of its receiver's account is at their institution, but because there's a problem, usually a legal issue, they don't post the funds to the account. So they accept it, but without posting it to their account holder's account. Truth is, we actually see this in other payment channels, and a classic example would be in the case of OFAC violations. If an account holder is on the Office of Foreign Asset Control's list, OFAC's list, and a payment comes in from just about any payment channel, then the receiving institution, they're probably not going to make those funds available to the account holder. It really is as simple as this, folks. There are going to be times where payments are going to come in. It's usually going to be legal issues, or it's going to be due to fraudulent activity, that you will accept the payment as a receiving participant, but you're not going to post it to their account. You're going to accept it because you may want to, you may choose to, or you're legally obligated to accept it, but you don't post it until you do your research, until you do your investigation, which could be contacting something like OFAC to see what they want done with the payment. So it's called accept without posting. There will be those few times, I hope few times, that it happens, but it can happen, and it's done so that you realize you're not always going to just immediately make funds available to account holders because there are always those special circumstances. Here at the Payments Professor, we make learning payments fun, engaging, and entertaining, at least whenever we can. I mean, folks, it's rules and regulations. Work with me here. For now, class dismissed.